extra hours, so I'm sure that he's still prepared. And I'm really curious to see what he's got in store for us. And don't forget that he was actually kind of upset. He was molding a bit after he lost the best of 3 against E-Laser, went live like a split second after it. So he clearly cares, and his heart is still clearly into it. In the top right side, that Frenchman, the Red Protoss player that we're talking about, this is PtitDrogo.
In the bottom left is the blue Terran for Kaiser Gaming. He is Spirit. And he's proxy, which, yeah, with the desk, I guess, Wardy pointing out that there is just a lot to be done in the early game. Spirit has latched onto that as well. It's kind of just good Terran versus Protoss nowadays to mix in either a lot of factory expands or a few proxies, a few fake proxies. Just we're back to that stage of TVP where I think the Terran does feel it to be an obligation to kind of set the Protoss a little off kilter.
Yeah. What do you think of it? Because I don't know. I was like, maybe I'm coming around a bit on it, but for a while I was like, I don't really like this all that much, like the whole double gas factory before CC. Protoss is already economically ahead, like this, they're going to be even further economically ahead. But the more and more games that I see, it's okay, this is actually a bit different, Zombie Grob. We are gonna go all out one base. Maybe Spirit, this could be many things, but this could even be the Thor. Like, I always just get excited and I start thinking about the Thor immediately. If he counts on Drogo opening up Stargate, one base, a Thor rush is actually very powerful. Open up with a couple of cloak mines. But yeah, then we'll save that conversation for a rainy day. Let's just talk about this game. Yeah, I'm not even sure we have time to talk about whether this is a good idea or not, but obviously this is a completely different topic than what you were discussing anyways. This is like really quite committed. I imagine, basically fully all in, but if it does damage, it's always in question. So Drogo, he is, I feel like personally, that he is one of the Protoss players that you can bet on, maybe not like all the time, but if you were going to say someone's not going to probe scout, I feel like it's Drogo. He has talked about like the effects of his builds even in some blogs. I think in this matchup he has done it like 30% of the time, I want to say, not probe scouted, and that's he hasn't done it, guys. That's why I'm bringing it up. He has no idea that everything is being proxied. I mean, this is such a bad spot for the Protoss to be in, because they might not be able to find the proxy, but then seeing no factory at home as well, which you would have seen with the probe scout, you really have no idea what's going on. So if Drogo just thinks that Spirit's playing typical Spirit defense, this could be really nasty. And even though Drogo's going for a Phoenix opener, we know how this can just still not be a good idea, or well executed anyways, against the medevac drop. In a weird way, Oracle is actually a bit better here than Phoenixes, because you just don't have the right amount of Phoenixes to lift everything. And the first drop shows up so early. There is a 5.5k Terran on the ladder that did this build against me a couple of times. And unless I know it's coming immediately, I'm just dead, because that armory is going to finish up. This is really good, obviously, for Drogo, but you still lack a bit of DPS. You still won't be able to kill all these Widow Mines. There are 2 adepts, though, in the natural. Able to get some shots off. Now we need to start unloading, and he does unload 2 out of 3, but that mine is still going to be a permanently cloaked mine. It's going to get a splash damage shot off. Will the second mine burrow? Yes, it of course will. And that means that number 3 burrows still, and Drogo is still in a world of trouble, even if he didn't lose any probes yet. I almost feel like that's just a matter of time. There's nothing that can prevent this Widow Mine from running around at this point. Yeah, exactly. So just to clarify earlier, right, it might seem like Phoenix are going to be great against this because they can catch the medevac and they can pick up the Widow Mines, or take away its shot, maybe just stop the invisibility from becoming a factor whatsoever. But you can only get so many Phoenix so fast, and chances are they're not going to be able to pick up and deny every single shot. And at this point, when there are so many Widow Mines that are still in play because there's no detection, they really literally cannot be everywhere at once. There's so much denied mining time here. That late detection, really absolutely killer. It was almost as good of a start as you could ask for in Drogo's position. Phoenix found the medevac immediately, and that still is so much chaos. Oh my god, the probes is fully surrounded. That's a good Widow Mine shot, though. And there's going to be a few more. The funny thing here is that even when you get an observer, it's going to take forever to clean up all the mines, because you don't really have a lot of DPS. Now, fortunately for Drogo, a couple of them are very low in HP. You want to make sure that these mines don't fire. This is actually going quite well, but there is another mine drop heading towards the main base. Like once, no, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're good. But another medevac drop into the main base. I mean, at some point, Spirit will stop dropping, and this actually does seem to be the last one. Drogo can't actually know that, though. He's full on just defending. I mean, this could be a very tilting opener, even though I feel like it has been handled about as well as you can ask. 15 probes in total. Even just the amount of indirect damage that it does, all of the delayed production, having to change your build order a little bit, gases get messed up, Phoenix stay at home entirely as well, right? No going across the map. It can be so tilting. And I feel like old Drogo, less chill Drogo, would actually be kind of frustrated, but he's really taken this in stride.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. Like, this was still pretty damn good for Spirit overall, because even if Drogo has 3 bases and a 9-worker lead, what you don't have is a strong follow-up. I guess the only thing you can do is maybe drop a Robo Bay, but then we need to really start taking some gases in the natural. But this could have been so much worse. This was a nightmare scenario, especially after the first mines killed the Adepts. The poor man had 0 DPS, and even when he had Phoenixes, he didn't have energy to lift anymore. This was all indeed about as good as it could have been, but he does still need to get ready for the first attack with Stim, Combat Shield, and +1. And if we take our gases right now and we drop a Robo Bay, there is hope. If we wait another minute, I think we're super dead.
He's got to drop, I mean, it's got to be Robotics Bay. You're not going to transition over into a Twilight Cancel at this point. So you're right. He's got to drop some technology. Phoenix are only going to go so far. And again, it's also one of those situations where he still has not gotten over across the map, patiently waiting for the Observer to do that while making sure the Phoenix are back at home in case there's any more surprises. So now he has a bit more of the lay of the land. But this just kind of tells him what the timer is. And he just now knows when the timer is going to hit, you know, I guess 0, and he's going to be attacked. Well, maybe not if the Observer gets picked off, but now the Phoenix can finally do their job. They know they're safe to come over here, maybe get some SCVs.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he took a 3rd Nexus during all of that, I was like, man, that's kind of crazy, but I like it, because the Widow Mine's obviously not going to kill any buildings, and this is a big commitment. He is taking a lot of damage, so one way to get back into it is indeed with a quick 3rd Nexus, and it's starting to look actually quite all right. With the Robo Bay finishing up now, we can start building our first Colossus. That double drop still has crazy potential, because the only thing that Drogo really has right now that's strong as a fighting unit are Phoenixes. So keeping the drop out of the main base would be big. If it shows up in the main, all these units get unloaded, Drogo is still in trouble. I mean, this is still a wild game, and it's a very fun one so far, but I am very worried about the potential of that double drop from Spirit.
I mean, there was well, to us, a notable lack of units. Okay, yeah, he did also notice, but perhaps a little bit too late. Granted, with the cannon trying to help out, and yeah, more warpings are certainly necessary, but perhaps everything will come together at just the right moment. Drogo, he's almost here with the Phoenix, but the ground units are just not plentiful enough. No upgrades on them either. One heck of an Artosis pylon. Oh, that devoured everything that was in production. And this might still win the game.
Yeah, and this might indeed still win the game, because now the robotics facility is on power. The Robo Bay is going to get gunned down. If the Phoenixes would have found this double drop, it really would have been a pretty decent game for Drogo. Unfortunately, all these units unloading means there is so much DPS, and if you don't have a Colossus, slow Zealot, Stalkers without Blink, and Phoenix is out of position, it's just one of the worst combos to clean anything up. Spirit is all over the 3rd base as well. Kill the overcharge battery, kill the cannon, and he is most likely going to get the Nexus with a couple of Marauders. It seems that this game will still end here, and it's very unfortunate for Drogo, because he did his best to still make this a game, and he really handled it about as well as he could have for a man who didn't scout it. It's just the 16 Marines. That was the nail in the coffin.
Yep. If he had noticed it a bit faster and the Phoenix get back home, let's say 8 seconds faster, then I think they do. They were headed right towards where the medevacs were dropping. They probably would have stopped it from dropping in the main at the very least, if not actually killing maybe a medevac with some units in it. And it's a completely different ballgame, because at the very least, the pylon doesn't get depowered, and the Colossus pops in, even if it's a bit awkward. Colossus was going to handle that perfectly fine. And that was an interesting game. I'm kind of sad that it ended in such a fashion, because there was a lot to talk about how Drogo was managing basically to be okay. I was looking at the resources lost prior to the 2 medevac drop, and Spirit had actually lost more, like way more, because it was all Vespi and gas as well. And I was going to mention, which seems a bit of a moot point because Drogo lost anyways, but you know, those Adepts dying meant that there was no DPS like you were talking about, Roddy. But the one thing that also meant as well is that they weren't bothering the probe mining, right? Because they didn't want to lift and move, because the Phoenix were going to lift them as soon as they they unburrowed. So I feel like that portion of the game is so cool to discuss and think about, but then two medevacs just come and like ruin all the interesting things.
Yeah, no, I really think that Drogo did very well, all things considered. Even if that first Phoenix, obviously finding the medevac where it did make a big difference. Because if the first mines immediately take control of one of the mineral lines, you can't really mine from it anymore. Like, you can let the mines fire once, go back to mining, but then like within 20 seconds, you have to put them all away again. They're gonna fire again, and it would have been a nightmare. In the end, it was a nightmare, but it was a nightmare because of that double drop. And I think you were perfectly spot on where you said he noticed it when the observer got killed, and then he saw that army. He's like, wait a minute, that's not everything. He started warping in units. It was just a split a second too late. All the Marines were already unloaded, and then they are so powerful. In the bottom left side, we're looking at the main base of that French Protoss. Now finds themselves at an 0-1 deficit. We'll probably throw in a cheeky scout in the beginning of game 2. This is the Frenchman, PtitDrogo.
Well, certainly he won't do it again, Roddy. It's fine. The top right doing it again. It is the Blue Terran Spirit. I wonder... I mean, I feel like you do just go for the scout, man. Like, you don't just... I was worried that Drogo might try to scout only the proxy, like look right, then look left, and then just be like, it's fine. But that would reduce the... that would take away the factory scout. So it looked like he was going to go across the map anyways. Coincidentally finds a very much proxying intent SED. Now it's going to turn into an engineering bay block.
Yeah. I think it was eBay block all along, because he took the weird
just coming
route
in from the right side.
Mm-hmm. And Terran players like to do that. And it's also a nice little opposite, right? Where in the first game, you go for the all-out proxy. In the second game, you just do the delay your expand kind of thing. But Drogo picking up on it as quickly as he did is very big. Now we only have to pull a couple of probes. We already have a saturated mineral line. So this was about as well handled as Drogo could have wished for.
Yeah. Kind of nipping everything in the bud at that point. Thing is, for Spirit, it's like he does kind of get to just go like, oh, okay. And then move on with his life. So unfortunately, a find like that isn't brutal. It's kind of like finding a proxy barracks as it gets put down, canceled, never mind, just kidding. Versus finding it 99% complete, and actually stopping it.
Speaking from a place of experience, amigo.
That's never happened to me, thank you very much. I'm foolproof on my proxies.
Okay. All right, Spirit is going to get a reactor. Did not go for a Reaper, so we're just going to get that Marine count up. Will Drogo play back-to-back Stargates? Nope. This game, he's going to go for a Twilight Council. Could be Dark Templars, but it's more likely just going to be a Blink Stalker opening. Something that Drogo has been quite fond of over the years. And it's something that was super popular when this map pool just got introduced, right? It felt that almost every high-level PvT we saw, it's parting style 2.0 completely back in the mix. I feel like we have slowly but steady shifted back to the majority Stargate again.
I feel like I've been watching a lot of Showtime games, so I'm going to be biased when I say like it was a lot of Stargate. But I think that is my major problem anyways. Having not cast last week, it's basically the Protoss that I wait to cast in the open cups, and it's usually Showtime. And he does do a lot of Stargate openers. But Drogo, Twilight Council, there it is. And a little bit of fancy footwork with the Adepts.
And not bad, obviously. Like, the Adepts are not ultra important. Marines are important. So picking off 3 Marines and doing a bit of damage to an SCV, getting a little bit of a scout off there. Even though I don't think Drogo didn't see too much. But what he saw was that certain things were missing, and that's a bit of an indicator. It is once more going to be an armory. So Spirit wants to open up with a couple of Hellions. Drogo, the doors are wide open, and 2 Hellions, man. I actually think that... we lost the Adept.
Yeah, weak from the earlier harassment.
Oh
no. That's more awkward than you would like. Could have been worse.
It indeed could have been worse. The warpins were good, but now we are not necessarily ultra prepared for the follow-up. I really hope for Drogo that we keep that observer at home, because worst case scenario is that we chrono boost out the observer and it flies to the middle of the map, and that's when permanently cloaked widow mines show up. And that is a place that I have been many times, and it's not a very pleasant place. Observer leaves town right now. Zombie crop. It hurts every time.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty painful. Not only is this going to get a couple of shots off, maybe even a second one, because Observer has to run all the way back home. It's also scouts that it's going to be a 4-gate, so Spirit can start some preparation in case Drogo throws up his hands and goes, whatever, man, I'm just going to attack you. So if he was maybe planning on getting more Widow Mines, maybe you do transfer it over. Or maybe you just keep track of where the army is.
He killed 2 Stalkers. Drogo actually messed up the first blink, and the second blink was still in range. So 2 Stalkers went down, and a lot of mining time. And obviously, if there is one Widow Mine drop with permanently cloaked mines, there is often a second one. The Observer does show up in time to at least pick off these Widow Mines, so that is kind of nice. But round 2 is already here. Drogo's going to be forced to pull the probes again. 2 probes. Just 1 so far.
I mean, this would actually be fine defense if this was a 3rd base on the way already, you know? But I am quite worried that the timing here is pretty brutal for Drogo's plans. Again, it's been scouted, so it's been reacted to. Spirit did swap off and actually has a tank, or otherwise maybe he would have been greedy and even used the add-on for like a barracks. And of course, the delay on Drogo's actual attack alongside a little bit of a reduced economy than he would like for it to. I guess there's still potential for the 4-gate. I don't think it's dead and gone yet, but it worked out well for Spirit and not so well for Drogo.
Drogo needs to fully send it, and he needs to get the first tank. Like, that bunker is actually a bit of a fake, because there's only a single Marine in it, but that bunker will absorb a decent amount of shots. Now the tank is going to siege up, and tank number 2 is here too. And that's where things get gnarly for Drogo. I do like this move. Just avoid these tanks, avoid that bunker, go into the back of the main, and now we can actually start chipping away at that SCV lead that Spirit has built up over the probe count. 1 Observer does get picked off. That's a bit painful, but the armory is going to fall as well. I actually really like the move, just going very deep into the back of the main. Pretty smart play.
Certainly annoying for Spirit, who can't really do anything without the tanks in play. Yeah, I was wondering what the dot was in the natural. Apparently it was 1 stalker that blinked out to the left. Just a little more chaos, I suppose. But this elongates the actual attack, so it makes it look a little bit better. At the end of the day, Spirit still did not take much damage. Lost a tank right there, but at the cost of maybe a couple of stalkers as well. No, not the Warp Prism. Okay, that was a little sketch. But yes, Spirit still has a very good economy, all things considered, for a TVP. Even starts up his 3rd CC, not too far behind Drogo's 3rd Nexus, which is Raven's about to scout the timing on that, as well as just, park itself into the middle. Be super annoying.
That Prism is low on HP, and there is a missile turret there, and Stim is close to finishing up as well. I don't like the idea of carrying 4 Stalkers in a Prism when it's this low on HP. Spirit does throw down a scan at the triangle, as the Raven has not really scouted that base at 6 o'clock yet. That's kind of funny.
It is kind of funny. I assumed he got close enough because he kind of just let it float. He did not. But I think now he knows. It's not going to be just committal of 2 bases. Very dangerous play with the Raven. Now super, super low. Actually, it's going to die. It's going to die because Spirit's focusing on the micro back at home. Actually, the move out back at home. There we go. There's the Raven dying. So he's going to lose SCVs. He's going to be caught by the stalkers at least, so Drogo has the heads up. But does the heads up actually matter? What is Drogo's army? Just shy of having the Zealot speed.
But he's got DTs.
Charge,
but he's got
no
DTs,
Zealots.
though.
Oh, yeah. Where are the DTs? In the main base?
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of cool, but obviously I wouldn't have hated a single DT on the other side of the map as well. Drogo is going to move forward with his Stalkers. This actually has a lot of potential. Drogo, just go back to your battery. We're losing so many units. That is the only scan that Spirit has available at the moment. Drogo does warp in another Zealot. There are no more scans available. There's literally no scans.
Oh, man. If he had noticed that sooner, I mean, if he had just pulled back his army, right? I feel like the army both went into tank range, but also revealed how lackluster it was. So it kind of gave Spirit the oh yeah, I'm going to go after that. I feel like we're talking about an army that can maybe contest a little bit on this 3rd base, and the DT cleans up the tanks. But everything is still kind of combined together for Spirit. He will eventually get back scans, especially with the 3rd orbital finishing up. Drogo can only make this game so chaotic. At the end of the day, his army is not there.
Yeah, we got, I think, carried away with the triple DT warp in the main. Like 1 DT at home and 2 DTs would have been the perfect play. Obviously, it's so much easier in hindsight. Drogo can't possibly know the amount of energy that Spirit has available. But there was potential there. And even the Stalker count, it wasn't crazy high, but it was decent. And if it would have stayed near that battery, then the Marines and tanks, especially when the tanks were that far away, would have a really hard time finding a way. But I think Drogo was worried about this army stimming into his natural. That's why he went out so far. But because he went out so far and he exposed his units, Spirit was able to